Hi, have you ever wondered what it takes to get your first paying client and how many million shoots do you have to do for free before you get noticed and you get paid for what you deserve? What it takes to be a photographer requires a lot of will, a lot of interest, that initial investment to get a decent camera in your hands, and a love for the arts and plenty of practice. But what's more important is also the importance of building a good brand and putting your work out there to get noticed. I'm going to take you through how you can get your first paying client with 5 interesting tips without having to sell your soul. Firstly, it's really important for everyone in your immediate network to know what you do. This is your friends, your family, your relatives, and friends of friends. Every single time I got to meet a new person after I quit my corporate job to start photography, I would ensure that I would engage in a conversation and steer it in the direction of what we do. And I would somehow leave them with the idea of being a child photographer, because you never know that somewhere down the road, when the requirement pops up, they will recollect you and try and find you again. Now it's maybe time to build your portfolio. Now let's be realistic about building a portfolio. You must think, hey Amrita, I don't have any clients. How am I going to have a portfolio? But the first thing you need to do is build a portfolio with whomever is available around you. Speak to friends, speak to family members, speak to friends of friends, whoever can possibly pose for you and give you some time in exchange for a couple of images will be great practice for you to build a really strong portfolio of images. Now remember, the first client that comes to you is going to approach you based on your existing work. So your existing work has to be really strong, has to be a beautiful collection of photographs, something that they can look at, relate to, and want it for themselves or for their own family, enough to book you instantly. So think about how you can reach out to people around you, create a really nice, strong portfolio. And I'm not asking you to do this for free. What I always suggest is avoid the whole free shoot concept, because you can tend to get boxed into someone who'd always do shoots at a lower budget or for free. So what you can do instead is promise your muse, your subjects, some amount of images for free, and beyond which, if they like any more, ask them to pay a nominal fee that you think is worth the cost and effort put into it, and take it from there. Now that you've informed everybody in your network about what you do and you've got a portfolio in place and you still haven't got a booking, now you're thinking, hey, what can I do to get noticed? If I were in your place, I would be super proactive about how I can find my first client. If they can't find me, I would go and try and find them. So think about, what does your potential client look like? Where do they typically go? What are their interests? And try and see if you can reach them through these different avenues. So for example, if you're a wedding photographer and you're looking to find your next wedding to get booked, a good place to go to would be connecting with event planners who can possibly hook you up with the clients they're working with. So think about how you can approach your clients versus them trying and finding you in this big world. And think a little creatively in terms of where they would typically go and how you could approach them in a very elegant manner. One of the biggest advantages of being born in today's day and age is that we have the whole digital world at our fingertips. Yes, I'm talking about social media platforms to begin with. So I'm going beyond just Instagram and Facebook, but also learning to use YouTube to create amazing content out there, or even using a business platform such as LinkedIn to your advantage. Apart from the regular or the most obvious social media platforms available, try and find different avenues on the internet. Get yourself listed on Google as a business, write blogs, create a website, write for different websites or publications where your work could get featured. The idea is to put your name out there as much as possible so you get noticed, or the chance of you getting noticed is higher. We're blessed to have all of these options today for our work to get noticed. So I think it's only important that you learn how to use this to your advantage, be it SEO or be it capitalizing what the internet has to offer you. And finally, let me talk to you about something that's very close to my heart when it comes to photography. What really gets a client to actually want to book with you is how you communicate with them given all the different platforms you have, be it your website or your social media platforms. The intent with which you photograph a subject is what really matters at the end of the day. I love to photograph families being wild and free, easy, in their own natural environment, without the worry of being posed or staged. And that's more my style or my photography perspective. So what I typically do is try to popularize that photography perspective or communicate it effectively so my clients relate to what my approach is when I'm going to be working with them. So you want to give that a little bit of thought to see What is your intent and what is your purpose when you're trying to photograph a family or a wedding or anything that you choose to? And let that be a hook for your clients to relate to you better. Now, while I've given you these 5 interesting tips on what helped me during my initial days to get my first paying client, it's also important to pay attention to how do you get your second paying client, the third, the fourth, and so on. Now, while they say that practice makes perfect, I prefer to believe that practice makes permanent. But in order to actually get good practice in, it's important to constantly work on yourself, work on your art, improving your work over time, and also taking constructive criticism from your clients by listening to them effectively and having their inputs being a part of your process. So here's wishing you good luck. Until then, keep creating. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you'd like more updates.